Hey guys, welcome back to Enlightened Turtle. It's your host Kev here. Today on the Ancient British Dynasties series, we're going to be taking a look at King Lud. So let's get straight into it. King Valenius had established a strong royal authority. For a long while, the succession in Britain was generally smooth, with fewer clashes between would-be rulers. But while some of those who did rule were good, very few were notable. The old monarchy had one last sovereign of stature, and with him it reached its term, though no one knew this during his lifetime. Lud, son of Heli, was a zealous builder and town planner. He strengthened the ramparts of New Troy, incorporating towers at strategic points. Also, he issued edicts regulating buildings within the walls so as to make the city the finest on earth. He had a special love for it and spent most of his time there, holding banquets and celebrations. Consequently, it was renamed Lud City, Caer Lud, later corrupted into Caer Lundain, from which London is derived. Lud had two brothers, Cassivalenius and Nennius. The latter objected to the change, insisting that the Britons should not betray the memory of their Trojan descent. Nennius was overruled. When Lud died, he was buried beside the city gateway called after him, Ludgate. His sons Androgeus and Tenotius were not yet of age, so Lud was succeeded by his brother Cassivalenius, who tried to forestall potential disputes by making Androgeus Duke of Kent and Tenotius Duke of Cornwall. Danger, however, was brewing in another quarter. Cassivalenius and Tenotius were both to be counted on the king's list, but they were not to hold that office in the unimpeded way of their predecessors. The Welsh called London's godfather Lud with a double L and a double D, and his brothers Caswallon and Niniwa, and had a third brother, Lepheles, who was a very wise man and much loved by the king. They acknowledge the importance of Lud's work on the capital, but tell a more picturesque story about his reign, in which they say Britain was afflicted by 3 plagues. 1, an invasion by sinister folk with magic powers, the Coronid, who could hear every word borne on the wind, and could thus eavesdrop at a distance and learn any opponent's plans. The second was a terrible shriek heard every May Eve, which drove people mad and no one could tell where it came from. The third was a constant disappearance of food from the royal stores, with no thieves ever being caught. Lepheles had been living abroad, and Lud went to consult him, and they met on a ship in the Channel. Lepheles sent for an artificer and had him make a bronze-speaking tube, so that they could confer through this without the wind carrying the sound to the Coronid. At the first attempt, they were thwarted by a demon living inside the tube, who scrambled the words, but Lepheles washed him out with wine. Then he told Lud what he should do about the first plague. The king must mash certain insects into water and make a spray. This would be poisonous to the Coronid, but harmless to the Britons. Next, as to the shriek, it was uttered by a British dragon fighting a foreign one, and Lud must find the exact centre of Britain and have a pit dug, and lower a tub of mead into it with a silken cover. When the dragons next grew tired of fighting, they would turn into piglets, fall on the cover, and be deposited in the mead. They would drink themselves into a stupor, and then Lud should wrap them in a cover and bury them in a safe place. Lastly, as to the vanishing royal provisions, the culprit was a giant who lulled the guards to sleep by enchantment while he robbed the stores. Lud should keep watch himself with a bath of cold water ready, so that when he became drowsy, he could get in and shock himself into wakefulness. Lud returned to Britain and acted on his brother's advice. First, he wiped out the colonnade with the infusion of insects. Then, by measuring his kingdom, he found the centre, that was Oxford, and trapped the dragons and hid them in a stone coffer on a hill in Snowdonia. An action that was to have a sequel, like the burying of Bran's head. Finally, thanks to this cold bath, he was awake when the giant entered the storeroom. They fought for a while, and the giant was beaten and promised to make good on all the provisions he had stolen. So there we go, guys, that was King Lud. As you can see, the second part of that kind of descended into a bit of mythology, which is fascinating, the connection between the red dragon and the white dragon, when we have a later conflict in England known as the War of the Roses, between the red rose and the white rose, i.e. Lancashire and Lancaster. But I won't go into too much commentary, we'll do that at the end of the series. So I'd just like to thank everyone for stopping by. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. I'm conquering the spirit.